Uh, Hello guys, welcome to the ethical hacking demo session 2. So, let's do a quick revise what we have covered in the yesterday's session. Right, we started with the introduction where we have learned about who is hacker, different types of hackers, who is ethical hacker, why these ethical hackers are required for the organization, what kind of advantage, you know, uh, I mean, what kind of advantages by having, by working as an, by helping the organizations to prevent from the attacks, to understand, where they stand in the point, where they stand themselves in the security point of view, right? So we have discussed all of you know, uh, the different topics. So today, I think I have also given you some of the links to download the VirtualBox and Linux operating system for doing the lab setup part, right? So we'll discuss about the lab setup part at the end of the today's session. So we'll continue uh, today with understanding the 5 phases of hacking. Okay, let me share my screen and let's quickly go and start from there. Yeah. Yeah, hope you guys can able to see my screen, right? Guys, can anyone confirm that you can able to see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So today we'll start with the understanding what is this 5 phase of hacking. We can also call this as a hacker's methodology. This is very very important. What type of a hacker he is. He'll be starting the hacking by following this 5 phases, right? So first thing starts with a reconnaissance. We can also call this as a information gathering phase or footprinting. So, uh, guys, to help you to understand the 5 phases of hacking, let's take an example of a robbery, right? Let's say I have given a target person to you, and I have asked you to plan a robbery on him, right? How you guys will be planning? Can you guys add few points here? Like how you guys will be planning the robbery? First, what we do? Hmm?
We gather information, the
Exactly.
requirement.
What type of information we gather? Like where he is living.
Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, where he's living, right?
Yep, we'll gather like where he is living, what type of house, he has. Um, do they have security,
Yeah.
or how many doors, windows are there? Is there any back entry for the house? Do they have fence or dog or a CCTVs, right? We gather
Right.
uh, first like all the information, right? How many persons are living in the house? What is their in and out timings? Who has access to their house? What type of a locks they are using it, right? We use all the information first, because the more information you have, okay, the more easy for you to perform the attack. Correct. So here also, first we will start with information gathering. We gather as much as information about the a target, okay, by using various information gathering techniques, right? So the purpose of doing this information gathering is to identify the weak points, like the vulnerabilities, right? So once you know, okay, once you have gathered enough information, once you know which is the strongest point and which is the weakest point, it is very easy for us to pick and go and break into the weakest point and get into the house. Okay, so like so here also we do information gathering about the target. So there are two different types of information gathering techniques we use it. One is called as a passive information gathering technique, and second one is active information gathering technique. So whenever you heard this term called as a passive, which means that there is no direct interaction with the target. So we gather the information maybe depending on the some other third party tools like social networking, or maybe asking about the target to someone. Okay, it's like there won't be direct interaction and they will not get to know. That is passive. Active means directly going and knocking them and gathering the information, right? So in this phase, we gather information about systems, networks, users, and about the organization. And these are the some of the information gathering techniques which I have added over here. Okay, at high level, uh, you know, we will be having a separate module. Uh, when we start actual sessions, like how do we do the information gathering, all of the different tools, techniques, okay, clearly we'll be discussing about it. So first what we do, we gather the information, right? Let's say in the information gathering you have identified list of IP addresses, okay, and then the second step what we do is we perform the scanning, guys. Let's say you have list of IP addresses which are domain names which are used by the organization. Then we will go and knock them. Okay, when you say we will go and knock them, we will see whether it is reachable or not. When you say whether it is reachable or not, uh, if it is connected to internet or not. If it is connected to internet, okay, is it reachable to our? Is it reachable for us or not? If it is not reachable, how can you connect with that system and how can you perform the hacking? You cannot go further, right? Let's say if you're doing an assessment, let's say penetration testing assessment on any, let's say, target which has an IP address. If that is only reachable when you connect it to a VPN, let's say it is not exposed to the internet, you cannot go and perform the other steps, right? You need to contact the respective network team to get that VPN access so that it is reachable for you. Of course, for an attacker, when he is doing it from the outside, he will be able to target only the reachable systems from the outside. Or maybe let's say he got an access to the inside network. Yeah, whatever the systems are reachable to him, he will be attacking on it, right? So first thing in the scanning, what he'll be doing is he will be checking how many systems are reachable, how many ports are open in each system, and what services are running in it. Okay, he will be performing a scanning on those whole bunch of list of targets to see what sort of a services running on what port, because these ports are only the entry points for an attackers. If any port is, let's say, misconfigured or having certain vulnerabilities in it, they can break in. So the ports are like the windows and doors of a house. Okay, if any one of the door or a windows, let's say, has uh, maybe uh, you know some issue, okay, uh, easily we can break into it. Correct. So the ports are the entry points for an attacker to get into the system. So we can use the tools like Nmap or Nessus, kind of a tools to perform this port scanning to identify what exactly is the security posture of the each and every service or port which is running on the system. And if there is any vulnerabilities which are existed on those ports, as I said, any weaknesses are there in the ports, easily attackers can exploit those ports to gain the unauthorized access of a system or a network. Okay, if you got to know that there is a back door, but the door will not be properly fit in. Okay, so they always maybe just keep nominal security over there. So when everyone is not there, we can go and break it because it is very easy to break in, and we'll get into the system, right? Similarly here also, if you identify any service or a port which is running with the some sort of vulnerabilities in it, we can break in and we can take the access of the system or a network. That is called as a gaining the access. Okay, so here also we can use the tools like Metasploit and SQL map kind of a tools to exploit the vulnerabilities. Okay, now you have access to the house. Okay, you are inside the house, but let's say there is no valuable things. Okay, let's say there is no gold or no money. They might just kept everything in the locker or a bank. Okay, so whatever the efforts that you have put in till now, uh, of course, it will be no useful when you cannot get any valuable thing, right? So always attackers will do the proper information gathering. Okay, uh, so that they can get what they want. And even let's say if they get into the system or a network, let's say they got into the system now, but the information might be coming, let's say after a week or 10 days, or maybe after getting into the network, the main server or database is somewhere else, it is connected. Okay, I mean, they will take some time, okay, to move from this system to database, or they wanted to um, be in the same system or network without being suspicious until they find uh, valuable, right? So that's where they do maintain the access, guys. It's like after getting into the house, if they didn't find any valuable things, they'll come out with the same back door without being suspicious to anyone, so that when the valuable things are there, they can break in the same way and they can get all the valuable things. Okay, but when it comes to the systems networks, once you penetrated, once you have an access to the system, they install some sort of a malwares, a rootkit, or a backdoors, which can give you, you know, anytime access to you. Okay, even if that vulnerability got patched, also, still you will have an access to the system whenever you wanted to. That is something which is possible by installing the malwares, backdoors, and rootkit. That is a part of maintaining the access. Okay, so they wait for the right time to exploit the system. Okay, it could be over the weekends or when everybody is in the leaves, etc. Right, and then they fulfill their motive. I mean, they get what uh, wanted to, like in breaching the network or system, downloading the information. uh, they fulfill their motive, and then while they are uh, you know coming out of the system, they will delete the logs, manipulate the activities. Okay, to not to leave any kind of a digital footprints in the system. Because let's say you have done the robbery. Okay, and what happened next after robbery? What is the next scene? The police or forensic people will come and they can collect all your you know fingerprints and evidences to trace back to your catch you, right? Similarly, whatever the activities that you are doing on the system, starting from the scanning, gaining the access, maintaining the access, and exploiting the system, all these activities will be recorded in the form of the logs, right? So if this logs goes to the forensic team, they can get to know, okay, how this hack happened, who has penetrated, what is their IP address, and they can trace back, right? To not to leave any sort of a digital footprints, they delete these logs and mask the activities and manipulate them, so that it is not easy for someone to understand and trace, right? You got my point. So this is the hackers methodology, guys. So it starts with reconnaissance, scanning, maintaining the access, gaining the access, maintaining the access, and covering the tracks. Right? As an attacker, he will have this mindset. He will follow these steps. So here in this course, we are also going to learn, uh, you know, in the same methodology to understand, okay, what is the mindset of an attacker. Because if we know what kind of a tools, techniques, which he's using to penetrate, to gain the access of the system, it is very easy for us to implement the security, and stop him, right? When you wanted to become a good ethical hacker, you have to know how the bad guys are there, right? How the bad guys mentality and how the bad guys are performing the hacks, then only you will become a good ethical hacker. Okay, with that mindset, we are going to learn all of these uh, topics, guys. Let me quickly uh, show you. I think you got this course content, right, from the team. So yeah, we'll start with introduction, as I said, and we'll discuss about the ethical hacking methodology, right? And now, once we're done with the lab setup part, we'll start with the footprinting, like information gathering, passive information gathering, and active information gathering. How the scanning works, okay? How do we identify the live systems, open ports, services? How do we enumerate various open ports, and how do we identify the vulnerabilities, okay? After identifying vulnerabilities, how do we exploit those vulnerabilities to get into the system, okay? We will do couple of examples with the metasploit tool, okay? Either we create our own vulnerable system and we exploit it, or maybe we can take some sort of a already existed vulnerable system like metasploitable 2, okay? In our case, it is already having certain vulnerabilities in it. We'll go and exploit it. We'll understand this entire 5 phases of hacking, and then once it is done, we'll jump into the network related attacks and application related attacks, and we'll also look into various modules like mobile hacking, Wi-Fi hacking, cryptography basics, right? All of these things are part of the syllabus, guys. And I think I have also shared some of the resources to you, right, in terms of like what tools we cover over here, um, throughout this course. And for you to get started with, you can also refer some of the online resources like books, and look into the ASP official website, or try hack me or hack the box kind of resources, right? And some of the prerequisites, right? So these prerequisites I can help you, right? I can cover the basics of networking, basics of Linux operating system, right? And all of these things, right? I hope you have this, right? You can track this, guys, throughout this course. We are going to follow this particular you know course itself, right? So once it is done, let's go and quickly uh, help you to um, set up the lab, guys. So Um, See, the thing is, to practice this, right, we need a virtual lab. So, to create a virtual lab, either you can use VMware, Hyper-V, kind of a virtualization tools, but I suggest you to use the Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, it's a free one, like open source one, and it is easy to operate. How do we do this installation? Is we do it on top of the our local host. Okay, like let me first start with Task Manager. So go to the Task Manager, and okay, not Task Manager. Let me go to the okay. Let's go to Task Manager. Okay, let's go to the performance. Once you go to the performance under the CPU, you can see this option called as a virtualization enabled. Okay, make sure you have this setting enabled, or else you have to go to the BIOS and you have to enable the settings. Right? Once your system, you know, has this option enabled, you can install the Oracle VirtualBox on top of it. I think I have given this link for you to download. Okay, yesterday. Download this package, right? So once you download it, just click on next, 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 next. Okay, automatically the virtual box will be installed, and you will be able to see like this. Okay, this is my Oracle VM virtual box. So on top of this, you can install any virtual machines, guys. So for us, if you have a local host, which is 8 to 16 GB minimum, you will be able to run one or two different machines at a time. So for us, we required Linux operating system. Okay, we are going to learn, um, you know, all of this attacks, because this is an attacker system that we are using it. So if you go to the kali.org, right, and if you click on this pre-built images, you will have the pre-built images for VirtualBox, and you can download it for it, right? So these are all the pre-built images, guys, which you can directly import into the either VMware or a VirtualBox or a Hyper-V. As we are using the VirtualBox, you can download this pre-built image for the VirtualBox and import it. Okay, it look like this. uh, OS. Sorry. Okay. So once you download it, you will get a file like this, which is a directory. You just need to unzip it, and once you unzip it, you will have these two different files. Okay, and once you click on this one, right, VirtualBox machine file, automatically it will get imported into the VirtualBox, and once you click on start, okay, it will run it. So it will take the base memory as 2 GB from your local host. Then you can give this default credentials, which is Kali and Kali. Okay, you can just give this default credentials Kali and Kali, and you can start it. This is one attacker machine. Along with this, you can also install the other operating systems. Either it could be Windows 7, 10, or the Metasploitable 2. Once you have this setup, we are good to start, right? So I think anyone has an experience of using this Linux operating system, or are you guys are new to it?
You're new to it.
Okay, no worries, right? So we can, yeah, I'll start from the basic itself, right? As this is a very beginner course, I can first, help you to set up. Okay, if someone maybe got stuck somewhere, you can let me know. I can help you to set up. And once it got set up, let's first understand how this Linux operating system works, right? That is important. So, I mean, I recommend you to play around it. Okay, nothing happens. It's a virtual system. Even if something goes wrong, also, no worries. We can directly delete it and install the new, operating system. That is not at all problem, right? So yeah, once you start it, let me help you to explore this tool. Okay, so this is how it look like. It has all the tools which are pre-installed, guys. Okay, so if you click on this left side top, this Kali applications, it'll give you all the categories and subcategories of the different tools which we're going to learn it throughout this. Okay, uh, so you can see you have all the information gathering tools, vulnerability analysis tools, web application, database, password attacks, wireless, etc., etc. Okay, so most of the tools are pre-installed. Even if you would like to install some of the other tools also, you will have tools available for this Linux operating system. I mean, which are compatible with, right? You just need to go and download it and install it, because almost all the dependencies are already existed. But if you do it same thing on your Windows operating system, there are a lot of things that you need to configure and install the dependencies. Okay, Lo- you will have to spend a lot of time. So yeah, that is one thing. And here we mostly, I mean, it's now become a GUI. Okay, graphical user interface. You can see when you click on this file, a system, you will have desktop, documents, downloads, different folders, directories over here, right? You can create one, like, so this is GUI part. Okay, graphical user interface part. Even like this is a text editor, like we have a notepad in the Windows, right? Similarly, this is like a mouse pad. Okay, you can save your text and modify your text and all. You can do that. And then this is a browser. This comes with the default okay, Mozilla browser. And then this is the important thing, which is terminal. Okay, uh, so most of the operations we do it with the terminal itself, right? Like maybe creating a files, deleting a files, okay, navigating from the one directory to another directory, running the tools. It's the most powerful. Okay, so we do most of the operations with this terminal itself. So we should be familiar with how to use this terminal. So for that, let me give you a resource. Okay, which is linuxcommand.org. Okay, there is a blog resource which is available for the free, right? So once you're done with the installation, once you're playing around with the GUI, you can click on this what to do. Okay, then it will tell you the importance of you know Linux operating system or a terminal. Okay, what is terminal? What is shell? As it is a case sensitive, you can see if you type anything, it throws um, error like command not found. And then you can explore the file system, right? In Linux, we have this tree structured kind of a file formatting, where the first one is root. Under that, you have various directories, okay, which are useful for different things. So under the home, our user account will be created, like the Kali which I am using it, right? This is under the root home Kali. So suppose if I type now ls, sorry, pwd, it says you are in root. But let's say if I open a new terminal, okay, I'm a Kali now. If I type pwd, you can see now I am in root home, and there is a user called Kali. Like how we have in the Windows, right? In Windows, we will have administrator, but our user account will be somewhere in the C directory users. Okay, then our username. You will have desktop, uh, documents, and etc. So similarly, this is a kind of a file structure what we have it in the Linux operating system, right? And you have to learn and explore the basic commands. The one which I've used now is called as a pwd, which is you know present working directory. So when I give pwd, you can see it says you are in home and me. And when you give ls, it's like listing all of the directories and files. Okay, it has listed out all of these directories over here, right? So similarly, if you follow this right, you will learn all the basics. Like even I can also teach you. Okay, but I am just giving you high level. Ls cd, how to change the directory. Let's say I want to get into documents. Cd documents, you can see ls. I'm in documents now. If I type pwd, it says okay, home Kali documents, right? So likewise, we are going to explore the basics of Kali, and whenever you have some free time, even you guys can also go and explore it. Let me give you this over the chat. Yeah, sure, guys. I'll share the syllabus to you. Okay. Uh, yep. So yeah, as I said, first we'll be starting with the basics of understanding the Linux, and also I'll cover the networking topics to you. Okay, to make yourself comfortable when we are performing the scanning, playing around the IP addresses, okay, playing around the packets. So yeah, those prerequisites on me. I'll be covering you, and I'll be also giving you the all the resources to get started with. Okay, so do you want me to help with set up the lab for anyone, or like I mean, do you have? Uh, I mean, are you guys downloaded the virtual box and Kali? Do you have the setup lab setup with you, or you will do it later? Cool. Uh, if someone needs my help, let me know. Okay. I can, maybe you guys can share your screen. I can help you to set up, or I can take your system access, and I can also help you to do that. So now let's get started with learning about some of the fundamental terminologies. Right. It is very important to understand what is uh, the basic terminology is all about, right? We should not get confused in information security. Like here, the language is very very important. Okay, when you say exploit, payload, or a vulnerability, okay, uh, you should have a clear understanding of what is it, right? Or else there might be scenarios, you know you will get confused, or you will miss the things. So let's first start with the understanding of an exploit, or maybe let's start with first vulnerability. So we are hearing this term a lot, right? Vulnerability, vulnerability, vulnerability. So vulnerability is a weakness, okay, a flaw in a system, software, hardware, or network, right? So it's an entry point, I can say, for an attacker. So hackers will always look for these vulnerabilities, because if they find any kind of a vulnerability, they will try to exploit it. Okay. Um, so yeah, vulnerability is a weakness. Um, the next thing is exploit. Okay, if you'd like to see some of the real-time vulnerabilities, right? Let me show you a couple of them. So maybe okay, let's pick up one example. Uh, let's go to CV details. This is the vulnerability database, guys. Okay, all the vulnerabilities will be saved over here. Let's take, you can see the vulnerabilities over here with the severity wise, right? So, okay, let's pick up few. Okay, so here it is. All of these are vulnerabilities, guys. Okay, weaknesses. Some maybe could be on some software, some maybe, on the hardware, network, application systems, right? So if I take the first one, okay, every vulnerability also will have a CVE, okay, which is called as a common vulnerability exposure, which is unique for every vulnerability, which we can use it for tracking and all. So suppose if I copy this and maybe if I Google it, right, I'll get only the information about that particular CVE, which is affected to the particular product, Nebula graph through 3.8.0. Okay, even if I go and uh, looked into any result, right, it's a recent one, you can see just 6 days back. So if someone is using this, okay, particular software, Nebula graph through 3.8.0, okay, it allows the authentication bypass, it seems. We can directly log into anyone's account. Okay, there is authentication bypass vulnerability. Understand? So now authentication bypass is a vulnerability which is on this particular product, right? In the vsoft nebula graph through 3.8.0. So let's say while you're doing information gathering, if you got to know that someone is using this software, okay, you can perform this authentication bypass. The process what you're doing to take the advantage of the vulnerability is basically an exploitation, right? So you will also have various different um, I mean, for every vulnerability you will also have the exploit code, okay, or the steps to perform the exploitation. So when you say, or when we say uh, exploit, it's a piece of software, data, or a sequence of commands that takes the advantage of vulnerability to cause an unintended behavior, right? Having, I mean, if you identify a vulnerability, okay, but to take the advantage of it, what we need the exploit, right? So vulnerability is a weakness. To take the advantage of this vulnerability, you need an exploit. So exploit could be a piece of code or data sequence of commands that we can use it to cause a uh, damage, or to maybe, to cause an unintended behavior. Okay. And what is payload, right?
Sai,
Yeah.
hello. Yeah, sorry to
Yeah.
disturb you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, who maintains this CV database and how much this data is authenticated? Like before you said the CV, some number is there.
Huh.
Nebula, some yeah, it follows bypass authentication like that CV first one. So how
Hmm.
much how this information is authenticated? And my question is how this information is authenticated and who maintains this CV database?
Okay, a good question, right? See what happens. Okay, first you need to understand the process. Okay, some maybe security researchers or attackers will, let's say, have identified a vulnerability. Okay, and they will also have the exploit code with them. So if the attacker is a good guy, okay, let's say he has a good intention, so he reports this to the vendor with the a detailed proof of concept, right? So attack, I mean, the vendor will replicate the same thing, and if in case if they also perform the same thing, and they'll confirm, okay, there is a existence of a vulnerability, and they give it to a member authority. Okay, so they will assign a CVE for it. Okay, so all this CVE, okay, details are maintained by the government also. If you see here, we have something called NVD. Okay, NVD by the NIST. Okay, National Institute of Security Technology. So it's a GOV, right? So government also maintains this. Even some of the private organizations also will maintains this vulnerability repositories. For an example, if you take in like vulnerability management tools, they have all the list of recent vulnerabilities with the detection logic and all, right? For us to you know go and check, we depend on these vulnerability databases, right? This is one story. Even let's say there is a other side, hacker who has identified the vulnerability, they might not report it sometimes. Okay, they just use it for their personal purpose with the malicious intent. Okay, so that is a different story again, right? What happens in that case? You have a malicious intent, you will keep on exploiting it. The vendor will not even get to know, okay, what is happening, right? Maybe when they analyze the logs, when they feel any kind of a suspicious activity is being reported by their customers, okay, okay, by looking at the logs, they'll get to know that there is a vulnerability, someone is exploiting it without even reporting to us, because they are malicious people, right? Then their internal security research team will replicate the same thing, and they confirm it again, the same process happens, right? That's how the CVEs get assigned and maintained and tracked. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, so for us, CV is unique thing. Okay, when I am talking about any specific vulnerability, let's say about this specific one, I mean, let's say now they have identified 4.0, some other vulnerability. For that, there is a unique vulnerability, unique CV again. Okay, but this CV is only specific to this version and this product. Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay, this is about the vulnerability and the exploit, right? So for now, maybe let me see if I can able to show you some kind of steps to do the exploitation. uh, Somewhere mentioned, right? I think there is some. Okay, this is a code that they have an access to. Okay, I think the exploit is not yet out, uh, but it is being actively exploited, right? Oh, no, 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 it is not being actively exploited. We can see this by looking at this exploit prediction score system, right? If something is being actively exploited, the score will be high. Okay, which means the exploit might be available in the internet. Even we can also go and understand that exploit or exploitation techniques to uh, do the authentication bypass directly on the target. It is not mandatory that there is a vulnerability there is a vulnerability which is came out. In a sense, the exploit should also come out, right? Because if that is the case, let's say if the exploit is also out, someone like you and me can simply go and understand and replicate and try to compromise all the systems, right, which are running with it. So, right, if the EPS score is high for something, which means the exploitation is high. So as of now, everything is like 0 point in 0 points itself. Okay, we'll discuss about it later. But yeah, um, okay. So this is, I think you understand, right? What is the difference between vulnerability and exploit? Now comes payload as well, right? What is payload? So payload is a part of an exploit. Okay, that is actually something which we use it for malicious purpose. It's like malware, guys. Okay, so what happens? Let's say when you have an exploit that only takes the advantage of the vulnerability. Let's say only doing the authentication bypass, right? After that, let's say if you would like to maybe run some sort of a system commands to access internal files, delete, modify, access the webcam, take the screenshots. I mean, when you wanted to have the complete interaction with the target, okay, you need a payload, right? So what happens is most of the time we send this payload along with the exploit so that once the exploitation is done, the payload will get installed into the target system, and it gives a very interactive connection between the attacker and target so that he can perform the various different activities in the target system. It's like, assume that as a malware which we are sending it part of the exploit. It's like a bullet in the gun. Okay, when you have a gun, that is an exploit. Okay, and then bullet is payload, and when you're triggering it and firing it on the vulnerability, right? Yeah, any questions, guys, over here between these three terms? Hmm? If not, yeah, I think let's move to the other ones, right? So zero day attack, what is this zero day attack is? Like if you take an example of this vulnerability, right? Like I have explained in the second scenario where the malicious intended hacker has identified this vulnerability. Okay, um, the vendor got to know by looking at the logs, or by uh, you know people who customers who are reporting to them that a suspicious activity, they confirm that there is a vulnerability. Okay, so now let's say today the vulnerability is reported on this version 3.8.0. So the vendor might take some time to release a new patch, correct? A week of time or 10 days of time, depending on their criticality and patch cycle. So the time which it is taken to release the new patch, okay, for the identified vulnerability is called as a 0 day period. When in the 0 day period, you will not have any kind of a patch from the vendor. Okay, anyone who knows the vulnerability, who has an exploit code, they can simply go and compromise the system. There is no solution from the vendor. That is what it means as a 0 day. So here, when you say 0 day attack, an attacker that exploits a vulnerability that has not been patched or made public, right? That is what the 0 day attack. So these are very, very dangerous for every organization, because in actual there might be a vulnerability, but the vendor might not aware of it, or even if they are aware of it, they don't have the patch ready for it, right? So we have to be very much concerned about such type of vulnerabilities. Okay, so this is the 0 day attack. And the next thing is penetration testing, right? Most of the people who completes this ethical hacking, either they become, I mean, they'll start working in the as a vulnerability assessor or a penetration tester. So what we do as a penetration tester is we perform the attack on the we just create a simulated attack, okay, to identify the vulnerabilities on the network or a system, like whole infrastructure to identify and assess the security posture of the system, right? So it's basically a simulated attack to identify vulnerabilities and to test the security posture of a system. And phishing. So phishing is like a fraudulent attempt to obtain the sensitive information by pretending to be a trustworthy entity via email or a other communication. Like you own 1 million, to claim it, click on this link, or your ITR refund got struck. Give these details to uh, claim your amount. So this kind of emails which we receive it frequently, right? All of them are like phishing attempts. They're trying to steal some sort of a sensitive information from us. Nowadays they are using this um, automated what we call IRC calls. Okay, they are calling simply saying that, hey, we are calling from the telecom vendor. Your phone numbers are going to block in next 2 hours. Click on 9 to talk with our customer care. Someone who is not aware of it, who is going and interacting with them, they'll give you certain instructions through which they can perform the financial frauds, right? Yeah. And the last one is ransomware. It is a kind of a malware, I can say. Once the ransomware got affected to the system, it will encrypt all your personal data, and then they will leave you a message by asking you to pay some sort of a crypto money in the cryptocurrency, okay, to decrypt and access that information. Okay. We have other fundamental terminologies also, like the one which I have explained now about CVE. CVE stands for Common Weakness Enumeration. And for every vulnerability, we have a severity as well, right? That is something measured with the CVS score, Common Vulnerability Scoring System. And depending on the probability of the exploitation activities which are observed, that is measured by the exploit prediction scoring system, right? And yeah, there's all various vulnerability databases like NVD, CV details, and all. And when you would like to see the publicly available exploits, you can go to exploit-db.com. And these are also some of the publicly available exploits which are submitted by the various security professionals or group, right? I mean, this is just a high level, guys. But when we actually start with the module by module, we'll be discussing in a detailed way, uh, practical way, right? Uh, yep. Any questions, guys? Yeah, I'll just stop here,
Hello.
guys, for today. I'll take
Yeah.
your questions if you have anything.
Yeah. Sai.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, Kumar.
Yeah. Is what is difference between cybersecurity and this ethical hacker?
See, cybersecurity under the cybersecurity itself, we have the ethical hacking, right? So when you say what is cybersecurity, it's all about protecting all the digital assets, okay, which are connected to internet, which has some kind of a value in it, right? That is what the objective is, the cybersecurity. Part of cybersecurity, this is one of the thing which we are learning is ethical hacking.
Okay.
We are also helping the organizations to secure their all the assets, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, I'll take up your questions. Uh, yeah, guys, please let me know if you have any questions. I'll take up.
Sai.
Yeah.
Well, in this ethical hacking or cybersecurity. how much percentage of we do automate or use the AI tools?
Yeah. So the AI is a new thing, right? So right now, of course, we are using this AI for security purpose. Okay. Like it is now, I can say, being integrated to every process. Okay. For an example, let's say if you're working in a SOC where you will get the real time incidents, right? So for analyzing that, and to conclude whether it is a false positive or true positive, we have the AI. When it comes to pen testing also, there are certain automated tools which are designed with AI report. For report creation part also, we have the AI tools. But yeah, as you are aware that the AI tools will not always give you the accurate information. We have to train someone. I mean, we have to train them properly. We have to verify it. Okay, all the results which are given by the AI. So still, I cannot say the exact number, but it is started. You know, uh, I can say encompassed into security as well, right? So we have AI security also, like LLM testing and all in security. In any process which they are integrating this AI, we can actually go and test. Okay, I don't have exact number for it, but of course, yeah, it has been integrated and used. Hardly, maybe roughly, if I want to give, I can say 30 to 40%.
Oh, okay, okay, got it.
Yeah, so if someone is also, maybe expecting me to cover the things in Telugu, I can do it, guys, but you have to inform me, right? Um, అప్పుడే నేను తెలుగులో ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయగలుగుతాను మీరు ఇన్ఫార్మ్ చేయకుంటే బికాస్ ఐ డోంట్ నో ఓకే ఫ్రమ్ వేర్ ఆల్ యూ గైస్ హావ్ జాయిన్. Yeah, yeah. So what you can do is you can go through the lab setup part. Once you're done with it, I think we can start with the actual modules from the next session.
Yes, I just have a question.
Yeah.
See, actually, what is the difference top between the topics in VAPT and this particular course?
Okay. So BAPT is more specific to like let's say, like it's a professional course. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to start in VAPT, right? You should have some basic knowledge about different types of attacks, tools, how do we
Mm-hmm.
use them, right? So those all the basic knowledge you will get it over here, and then you can use all these tools and techniques when you are actually performing a penetration testing assessment in a systematic way by following a methodology, right? So, you know, got it, or you want me to elaborate more? Like
Yeah, I got it. I mean, this is the foundational thing, and that
exactly.
would be. Mm.
Yeah, here you will learn
So, is
actual
this CEH
mindset.
basic? Yeah, please
Yeah,
go ahead.
you Yeah. So in CH, you will learn actual mindset of an attacker, what tools he uses, what types of attacks that he can perform it. Okay. You will learn the things in a practical way. Okay. That's how you will understand how the attackers are performing the hacking, right? So it will give you that offensive kind of a mindset to you in CH. But when you're doing a penetration testing, you will apply all of these skills to help the organizations to secure it. But there we will also follow a methodology, a step-by-step process, kind of a checklist, right? So we use it in a systematic way there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, cool. Any other questions, guys?